The House voted overwhelmingly. It overwhelmingly passes $1 billion in funding for Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. And the 9 members who opposed it are facing huge criticism, justifiably, too. Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib facing accusations of anti-Semitism again. And AOC roasted for breaking down in tears, if you'd believe that, on the House floor after failing to help her party block the bill. She voted present. Joining us right now is Senator Tim Scott. Senator, do you believe we're talking about an Iron Dome defense system being debatable in the House?
I can't believe it. If there's anything that is not debatable, it is standing strong with our allies. Iron Dome has saved thousands upon thousands of lives. Just recently, over the last decade, I can't even count the number of lives that have been saved because of Iron Dome. But more importantly, think about this way, Brian. Iron Dome prevents deaths, which then allows for us not to see a war in the Middle East, because if you start killing thousands of Israelis, they have to respond. It is their ability to defend themselves that reduces the likelihood of war in the Middle East. And why would we not stand by our allies? It feels akin to the Afghan crisis, now an Iron Dome crisis. It's just dead wrong.
It is. It's a dangerous time to be an American ally. From France to NATO on down, we're seeing that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I want to pivot now to spending. This is as big a couple of weeks as there will be for the Biden administration. They're looking to get the bipartisan bill passed at 1.2 with 19 Republican senators, and then get a 3.5 trillion, maybe 4.5 trillion on a reconciliation simply party line vote. The question is, how will they pay for it? Out of nowhere, Majority Leader Senator Schumer said this yesterday.
The White House, the House, and the Senate have reached agreement on a framework that will pay for any final negotiated agreement. So the revenue side of this, we have an agreement on.
Most Democrats didn't even know this. Did you know about this?
Absolutely not. And what that tells me is that, A, it's impossible to raise taxes enough to spend $3.5 trillion. So the size of that deal is coming down. But more importantly, when you start talking about tax increases, you're going to have a reduction in revenue for years 5 through 10. The first few years, you may see a spike, but then it plateaus and it goes down. The more you tax it, the less you get of it. Can you imagine raising our capital gains tax from 23% to 43%? You're going to attack farmers by cutting the inheritance tax down, the threshold, the deductible that's related to it. How would you do that to our farmers in America? You're going to make it harder to pass assets from one generation to the next generation, and then we're going to ask them to continue to provide the food and the resources that we need around this country. It is the wrong direction. But Brian, don't let the price tag fool you. The content might be more important than the cost. The content of this package could literally create a socialist state as we give more money away, not connected to work. That's what they started in July. They're going to see an acceleration of the path towards socialism in the middle of the content of this package.
Yeah, great point. The free community college, free preschool, free school lunches, free elder care, expanding Medicare. That's just off the top of my head that's going to be jammed in this bill. Lastly, you've been working for over a year on bipartisan police reform. It collapsed. They are blaming, Cory Booker is blaming Republicans. Quote, "We made it clear from the beginning of our negotiations that a bill must ensure true accountability, transparency, and the policing standards necessary to bring an end to the horrific incidents of violence Americans are routinely seeing, like the murder of George Floyd. Unfortunately, even with that law enforcement support and other compromises we offered, there was still too wide of a gulf with our negotiating partners, and we face significant obstacles securing a bipartisan deal." One of the things they said is Republicans want to protect bad cops. Senator, what happened?
That is ridiculous. The bill that we had negotiated included dealing with bad cops. So here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to support a bill that demoralizes and defunds local law enforcement. When you do those two things, you destabilize the communities where they serve. Everyone knows that change requires resources, and what the Democrats wanted to do was to tie accreditation to more money or less money. They literally said, if you do not become an accredited department around this nation, we will cut your ability to apply for grants. I'm not going to be a part of defunding the police by making them ineligible for the 2 major grants that come from the federal government to local police. And remember, Brian, this is an issue that was caused by big liberal cities failing to do what they're asking us to do. They could have done it themselves. Minneapolis, Cleveland, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, these big cities with a blue mayor and blue city councils could have done all of this work themselves.
Don't let them steal the microphone. Get your side out. That's what you hear this morning talking about. Senator Tim Scott, thanks so much.